Yo, what is going on, guys? Freaky Trades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the watch list. So, as far as this week goes, really the only stock that has earnings that I am paying attention to is Micron, being MU. It is probably one of the most exciting stocks this year so far that I am probably the most excited for. Everything else has been kind of mid, but the way that MU has been moving the past couple of months, as I'll show on the screen here soon, it will be really interesting. Now, will I play it still? Probably. We'll dive a little bit more into it, into the whys and maybe why I will look to still play it. Not the actual earnings call, so like gambling, I would say, but actually playing it leading up to earnings week, because a lot of times we tell you guys not to trade stocks during earnings week because of the bigger move that you'll need on the contract for them to pay. So we'll take a look here a little closer and see how things are looking. But yeah, MU is the only stock that I'm keeping an eye out for. Maybe Baba, maybe Lulu reporting after on Tuesday, and then Baba reporting before on Thursday. Maybe I'll look at them. Who knows? I haven't really pulled up their chart to see what they have cooking. But I mean, just some honorable mentions there. So. First things first, you guys know I like to cover ES and NQ here. If I go on ES and NQ on the daily or the 4 hour, you guys can see that we are finally, and just maybe, we are breaking out of the consolidation to the downside. Maybe. I say maybe because there is a strong chance we just bounce. There is a lot of news circulating in the market right now. Anything can happen. We can just bounce back up to consolidation. Maybe we're finally breaking down the bottom of the range that we've been stuck in. Who knows, right? For the meantime, I'm keeping things really, really simple for everybody. Just like I am with stock hours, until tomorrow morning during our pre-market review at 9 a.m. Eastern that we do every single morning during the week. For the meantime, I'm keeping things simple. Until then, we're going to start going into more specifics. But for the meantime, just to keep things really broad, the only level that I'm looking at is the continuation low at 66.20 here on ES, going into 6,600, and then 65.40 for a true bottom range break. So that's ES, pretty straightforward, nothing too complicated about that. NQ is the exact same situation, both indexes, both futures. So for NQ here, I'm keeping an eye out for anything below 24,200 to the downside, or 24,000 after for a follow-up for a confirmed breakout to the downside. But yeah, 23,900 would be the ideal area that we'd want to get under and close below. 24,000 would be good, but getting that close below 900 down here would just signal that we are finally breaking to the bottom of this range that we've been stuck in this entire year so far. So pretty sweet, pretty awesome. First stock that we're going to be talking about is MU. As you can see, MU is finally breaking out to the top side, and if I put this on a daily chart, you guys can see the absolute tear that MU has been putting across the market the past few months, since I would say September to October time, to where it's been currently at. And it is a great stock to trade. Minus the spreads, if you can find out how to manage the spreads if you're trading the stock, I think it is a fantastic stock to trade, especially with the momentum and the breakouts this can have. Now, with MU here, it gets a little tricky because it does have earnings this week, and you'll need bigger moves for the contracts to pay more. Now, the upside about MU, about this specific scenario, is with MU contracts, I got to change this level here, with MU contracts being more expensive and still a volatile stock as it is already, it may still be worth it trading it at any regular level if there is a good setup because of the normal breakouts that MU tends to have. Now, I was looking at this on Friday, and the spreads were still pretty tight. The contracts still had somewhat of liquidity. It was 3 p.m., so I mean, it's hard to tell because at that point, you know, it's late in the day. Obviously, that next week contracts being this coming week, we'll probably have a lot more volume than something in the morning. So it's something to keep an eye out for. Now, the contracts are obviously going to be really expensive as well. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. But if this happens to approach 430 or even 435 or this 437 area, as you can see here, where MU has been getting stuck around in this small range here, that is something that I potentially may be looking at to scalp or even trade all the way up to the 440 level. But depending on how it breaks out, how the contracts are moving, are the contracts liquid, are the spreads even good on a stock like this when it has earnings? We haven't had earnings in a while, so since December. So since that major run up that we've had on MU, I'm not sure how the contracts are going to move as compared to other stocks we're more familiar with, like Tesla and Nvidia. Things are completely different on this stock. So That's MU. Keep an eye out at 430, and then this 435, 437 area going into 440, and then after that 450 if we happen to climb up there before earnings. So that's MU. And last but not least, the last stock I have that has any potential maybe downside setup is Meta. Meta at 600 does not look bad. It is only $10 to $11 away. Now the downside to this is if the market is weak and if it opens up down, expect this setup to be broken at 600 because Meta it is ahead of the market. It is ahead of the range break that we got on this. We happened to catch a really nice move on this on Friday on stock hours. I wasn't confident enough to signal it just because it was an opening trade. And so I was just keeping it very simple and just, it happened to be a banger. It happened to be one of those home run trades where it paid out better than what we expected. So, but yeah, looking for a continuation here on Meta since this is ahead of the market as far as weakness goes. The only level that I'm keeping an eye out for is 600. Nothing complicated about that. I mean, if it happens to consolidate somewhere pre-market with some sort of pre-market low and just sits there in the entire pre-market or just hovers above that, maybe that's something else to look at, right? But for the meantime, keep things pretty simple. 610 or 600 look really good. 610 is kind of like last resort if the market's dead and Meta's the only thing that looks good. It's maybe 610, right? But usually 600 is going to be the big area that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. So, but yeah, that's about it for the watch list as far as actual good, decent setups go. MU is up in the air. For most people watching this video, if you have no experience trading options or you're still fairly new, still trying to figure out your risk management, or you're just a beginner still, I would say if you're not consistently profitable, just stay away from MU just because it's a really tricky stock to trade. You're better off trading the less volatile stocks like Apple, AMD, Nvidia, all these other slower moving stocks that don't have as much volatility as Tesla, MU, and even Meta, right? But these are the best setups that I see across the market that look good for what our chat is probably going to be looking at, and so I'm putting that out for you guys. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the watch list. Before you go though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate that. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend and have a fantastic week. Peace out.